Good evening, Ms. Hanis. Today, my group members and I, Praveen, Chong Fei Yong, Pong Hang Lam, and myself will be presenting to you our Intercultural Communication Group assignment. Next slide, please. The title chosen by our group is Communicating Across Cultures. Next slide, please. And the country we've chosen is Japan. I will now introduce my group member Ravina to further elaborate in the introduction of Japan.
Okay, so Japan is a distinct and fascinating culture and will leave a lasting impression on you, unlike any other countries. It is a part of what makes it such a captivating country to visit and is definitely one of the most special in the world. Japanese culture has many distinctly fascinating aspects, both modern and traditional, such as foods, its architecture, performing arts, fashion, anime, manga, and geisha. Today, Japan's culture is among the world's leading and most prominent cultures, mainly due to its popular culture's global reach. The Japanese community, on the other hand, is one that has been shifting constantly for thousands of years and continue to evolve with the latest trends in fashion, technology, and expanding the limits of what is possible. Next, my friend Praveen will be introducing about what do people do in recreation in Japan.
Many sports activities were introduced by Western countries such as tennis, football, baseball, and badminton. Karate is another famous self-defense activity because it protects themselves from their enemies, and it's very popular in other countries as well because they normally practice during the co-curriculum activities period. Sumo wrestling is a great traditional sport in Japan which was introduced by the 8th century. Sumo wrestling is when two obese Japanese guys are fighting against each other and one of them have to win the game. They like running up a long series of stairs and kayaking. They like running up a long series of stairs such as in the Buddhist temple and Shinto shrines, and kayaking is famous during summer and winter period. The aim of teaching swimming to kids is so that they can enjoy themselves and so they can learn how to swim in the future. Japanese people love surfing, scuba skiing, and snowboarding. Scuba diving has high fatality of incidents and death rate, and nowadays skiing has been created indoor in Japan because it is safer compared with outdoor skiing. Shiron Takogase is a huge kite fighting festival in June, and it's held for 5 days in a week. It's between 7 matches, and it has a unique design which was created for 3 centuries, and one of the designs are ukiyo-e style designs and historical designs, unique designs. Next slide. Furthermore, bowling is another recreation activity in Japan. Bowling has now been reinvented to nicer areas with fancy salons, lanes, and lighting. More customers are willing to play there because they can bring their children to play for free during certain days, and they have special lightweight balls to play during that time. Bowling is also fun for the children because they have costume men guys who come and make them happy and enjoy themselves during the bowling session. Japanese people also hunt during the recreation, such as pigeons, bears, and tigers sometimes. Japan has the world's strictest gun control laws. To earn a gun there, you need a minimum of 4 months training and also required training classes. You have to join and take part in that training session. Many residents have already complained about the noise distribution by the hunters in the forest. In rural areas such as the mountains and jungles, lakes are where they can catch fish. However, in urban areas, they have inner pond by fishermen to catch fishes. Lastly, families also go camping or climbing mountains during their recreation time, especially during weekends and school holidays. During their camping session, they either stay in the forest where they can hunt food for survival, for lunch and dinner, or they can either stay in mountains and nearby lakes to catch fishes. In urban areas, they like playing board games and card games such as shogi and mahjong with their friends and family. Next slide, please. To conclude, in my opinion, I think that Japan is a great place to live because it has a beautiful environment, it has many historical areas, and it has diversity of uniqueness in the special areas. Self-defense activities such as karate, jiu-jitsu, and aikido is one of the few self-defense activities in Japan that make them to protect themselves against the enemies, and they can also play during their free time. Japanese people get to make new friends and create a bond, and they get to mix around with new cultures and have a more knowledgeable experience by mixing around with them, and they gain more knowledge. Senior citizens can be active in recreation. When they are retired, they can join recreation activities, and it helps them to build their immune system to prevent themselves from any kind of diseases. They are active by taking part in sports such as tennis, football, baseball, and many others. The government in Japan is promoting recreation studies, and it's good for the students as it creates awareness and they have a wider scopes of recreation in Japan. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, so coming to the next question, how is public space used in Japan? The Western concept of public and private did not exist in Japanese culture until the end of this century. As a result, public space was a flexible notion in Japan. It is often a public event rather than any physical and permanent boundary that determines the extent of public space at any given time. Space in Japan, particularly public space, cannot be described in terms of physicality and shape. The very notion of space in Japan is defined as much by history, scale, culture, evaluation as by any specific physical entity or combination of any specific criteria. According to Donald Ritchie, private space in Japan is seen as a sacrosanct, that public space is considered profane. Next, public spaces such as squares, streets, parks, playgrounds, and waterfront play a key role and can become a key driver for improving urban living. Next slide. Okay, quality public spaces are flexible spaces that can accommodate different activities, whether programmed or spontaneous, and have the capacity to transform over time. To encourage new users to energize the site at all times. Moving on, a broad variety of events taking place in many public spaces demonstrate that the city has a lot to give in terms of public life, spontaneity, liveliness, ingenuity, and liveliness. Besides, traditional Japanese concept of flexible public spaces could be reintroduced and reinvigorated. The sense of community that is losing ground in metropolitan areas like Tokyo. Next slide. Okay, as a conclusion for this part, in my opinion, urbanists have long held the view that the physical and social structures of public space play a key role in development of economic and public culture. The public space have been the icon of mutual well-being and opportunity. On the other hand, urban commentators and practitioners have varied their views on the precise details of collective achievements over time and space. To conclude this, public space in Japan has a strong relationship as well as a good bonding. Next, I would like to pass it on to my friend Michelle to talk about how holidays are celebrated in Japan. Thank you.
There are a total of 16 holidays in Japan. Now I'm going to highlight the 10 special holidays in Japan. The first will be the Sogatsu, which means the New Year. This is celebrated in December 30 to January 9. Similar to Chinese New Year, families will reunite and money envelopes will be given to small children during this celebration. Also, they will eat various traditional food based on their religion. And the most special is they will eat buck meat noodles during the morning and the midnight for good luck. Next will be the Senjin no Hi, which is the coming of age day. This is celebrated on the second Monday on January. On this celebration, 20-year-old men and women will be invited to their local city hall for a congratulatory ceremony. This ceremony includes public lectures and souvenir giving. Next will be the Susubun, which is the bean throwing festival. This will be celebrated in February 3rd and 4th. Susubun means the beginning of spring. So people will throw beans to demons. Demons are people who wear masks, the demon mask, and they will shout, Oni wa soko, fuku wa uchi. It means, go away, spirits, bad spirits. This They do this for good luck. And then in shrines and temples, people will throw gifts to crowds. And next will be the Hanami, which is the Cherry Blossom Festival. This is celebrated between March and May. It depends on when the flowers bloom. And during the celebration, people will go to the park and view the flowers. Also, tea ceremonies, folk songs, traditional dances, beauty pageants, and parades will be celebrated. And next will be the Golden Week. It is a week of numerous holidays such as the Showa Day, Constitution or Memorial Day, Greenery Day, and Children's Day. This is celebrated of, at the end of April to until May 6th. During this week, it is a whole week of holidays. So the Japanese will plan a whole week of vacation or rest at home for the week. Next will be Hina Matsuri, which is the Doll Festival. This holiday is celebrated on March 3rd, and this celebration is focusing on girls. So during this holiday, girls will decorate their house with a full set of dolls. These dolls are given by their grandparents, and this set of dolls can be given to the next generation. Next will be the Subun no Hi, which is the spring equinox day. This is like the Chinese Qingming Jie. This will be celebrated on March 20th, where the Japanese will visit their ancestral graves and do rituals at shrines and temples. Next will be the Bukan no Hi, which is the Culture Day. This celebration was celebrated in the November 3rd. During this day, people will be awarded for their outstanding achievements in the Culture Award Ceremony, which will be held in the Imperial Palace in Tokyo. And also, festivals and parades will be held celebrating traditional Chinese customs. Next will be the Shichi-Go-san. This is 753 celebration. This will be celebrated on the November of 15. This celebration is focusing on 3 and 5-year-old boys and 3 and 7-year-old girls. During this day, these kids will dress up and they'll visit to the shrine and pray. And lastly, it will be the emperor's birthday, which is Emperor Akihito's birthday. This day is on December 23rd. During this day, it is a national holiday. And during this day, the emperor will make short appearance at the balcony of his palace for the whole day. So in conclusion, when there are holidays, it is considered a national holiday. So businesses will close. And many traditional activities will be held according to the holiday. So next, I would like to let Natasha to say how will a visitor be welcomed to someone's home in Japan.
So how will a visitor be welcomed to someone's home in Japan? Next slide, please. As known to many, the Japanese people adhere to rules and obtain certain ways of doing things. Upon being invited to a Japanese person's home, visitors must keep a few heads up in mind. These tips include number 1, dressing appropriately. Although Japan is exposed to its intricate fashion industry, it is important to exude a decent and respectable character, especially when it is your first time visiting the home. Secondly, bring along a gift, which is quite a conventional thing. This gift-giving etiquette is known as omiyagi. Thirdly, never invite others without the host's consent, which is quite self-explanatory. And lastly, punctuality. Next slide, please. So these are the steps of being a guest at a Japanese household. Firstly, ring the doorbell and knock on the door twice, which is the standard way of addressing that you have arrived. Once the host opens the door, greet your host with konnichiwa, which is used during the day, and konbawa, which is used during the evening. Before you take off your shoes, notice that there is a lower platform called genkan, which is typically lower than the rest of the areas in the house. Place your shoes in the genkan and then make sure you wear the indoor slippers provided by your host. And once you are in the house, make sure you hand over the gift right away, especially if it is perishable. Then say arigato gozaimasu, to thank the host for the invitation. Next slide, please. Upon having your dinner, be sure to practice good table manners and say itadakimasu before eating, which translates to I am grateful for this meal. And be sure to not overstay your welcome. If you feel it is already late then it is the perfect time for you to say soro oitomasasete itadakimasu, which translates to it is about time I excuse myself. Then obviously make sure you thank the host again and finish off with a classic Japanese bow before taking off. Next slide, please. So to conclude everything I've mentioned, The Japanese people adheres to rules that are systematic, from how individuals speak to one another to how rules are even being obtained even at their own home. They possess a high level of etiquette and live every day of their lives surrounded by a collectivistic culture where everyone is united by their oneness, one culture, and one language. They also view respect as an asset and a virtue to the Japanese people. I will now introduce Sarah to continue with the presentation.
So, respect for the aged day, also known as Keiryō no Hi, is a national public holiday to honor and respect the elderly citizens. It is proclaimed as a national public holiday in 1966 and was held every September 15. Next slide, please. So what happens during this holiday would be that grandchildren would give their grandparents gifts, surprise visits if they are coming from overseas, and also there are lots of choir and dance performances to entertain the elderly at local public facilities. Senior citizens who are celebrating their 80th and 90th birthdays would be given either a red Maneki Neko doll or a purple Daruma doll as they mean health and longevity. Senior citizens who are turning 100 and older would be visited by either the city or town mayor to be congratulated and to be given a congratulatory gift as well. Next slide, please. So these are the ways to show respect towards the elderly. Firstly, the Japanese value the hierarchy system. Therefore, they will feel entitled to be respected. This is when you need to use keigo, which is also another form of honorifics in the Japanese language. Some teenagers would also take pride in using keigo towards respected ones because they look at it as a sign of adulthood. Next will be about bowing. There are many different kinds of bowing in Japan with their own meanings, and deep bowing towards elderly enables you to show more respect and submission towards them. As you can see on the right with the picture, that is the correct form of bowing to respected ones. Lastly, it would be table manners. Before starting a meal, you will have to show your gratitude towards being able to eat by saying itadakimasu, especially if it's a home-cooked meal. Then you have to wait for the elderly to start eating before you can. You are also not allowed to stuck your chopsticks vertically into your bowl, as it implies death. Finally, when you are finished with your food, you have to end your meal with the phrase "Gochisousama deshita" to thank the person for the food. Next slide, please. And lastly, to conclude, Japan is a place where respecting all generations is very important for everyone. One's actions and words may affect how people act, so we should all be careful about what we say and what we do around our elderly. Ultimately, I hope all the elderly around the world would stay healthy and safe. Next slide, please. And to conclude our whole presentation, this is our interviewee, Justin Chan, which is also a friend of mine, who was an exchange student in Japan for about a year plus. On the right side is our interview with him through WhatsApp. So this will be the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening to us, and I hope you liked it. Thank you.
Thank you.